They call it the Devil's Triangle, a mysterious swath of ocean that has swallowed ships, aircraft, and countless souls without a trace. Stretching across the North Atlantic, between the points of Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, this region has haunted the imagination of sailors, pilots, and curious minds for generations. There are no warning signs, no flashing buoys, no borders to alert you that you've entered a zone where logic often seems to dissolve into the unknown. Yet somewhere amidst the tropical blue waters, legends took root. Tales of ghost ships drifting silently through the mist, pilots vanishing mid-transmission, and vessels seemingly torn from the sea. What lies beneath these myths? What truth, if any, can be salvaged from the wreckage of lore? The Bermuda Triangle might not be marked on official maps, but it's etched in the minds of millions as a place where reality bends and science takes a back seat to the unexplained. Long before the name Bermuda Triangle ever echoed across tabloid pages or cable documentaries, the region was already earning its reputation. In fact, some of the earliest accounts date back over 5 centuries. Christopher Columbus, during his maiden voyage to the New World in 1492, documented strange phenomena in this very area. His logs mention unexplained lights hovering in the distance and erratic behavior from his compass, navigational readings that veered without warning. While modern explanations might attribute such compass irregularities to magnetic declination, the mystery planted its seeds then and there. What did Columbus see? Was it merely electrical phenomena like St. Elmo's fire, or something far more enigmatic watching from the sky? Centuries passed, and yet the legends only grew. In the early 1600s, a ship known as the Sea Venture was caught in a violent storm while en route to Virginia. It wrecked off the coast of Bermuda, an incident that allegedly inspired William Shakespeare's The Tempest. This wreck, one of many in those waters, signaled more than just tragedy. It began to paint the region not just as dangerous, but somehow enchanted. The idea that this part of the ocean played by different rules began to fester in the minds of storytellers and seafarers alike. But even so, it remained an anecdotal oddity, mariner to mariner. Then came one of the most bone-chilling maritime stories of the 19th century. In 1881, the American ship Ellen Austin reportedly came across an abandoned vessel drifting aimlessly through the triangle. Curious and cautious, the captain of the Ellen Austin sent a crew aboard the ghost ship to sail it to port. But then, in an eerie twist of fate, the two ships were separated by a sudden storm. When the weather cleared and the Ellen Austin caught up with the ghost ship again, it was empty again. No crew, no sign of struggle, just silence. While skeptics have debated the legitimacy of this tale and point to the lack of verifiable shipping records, the story added a layer of supernatural dread to the triangle's lore. Was it a ghost ship, a pirate trap, or just another tale spun from sea mist and shadows? Fast forward to 1918, and the triangle would claim one of its most mysterious and devastating maritime disappearances, the USS Cyclops. This enormous U.S. Navy cargo ship was carrying over 300 men when it vanished without sending a single distress signal. Its course was steady, the weather was fine, and then nothing. Not a scrap of wreckage was ever found. The Cyclops remains the single largest non-combat loss of life in U.S. Navy history. Conspiracy theorists have suggested everything from sea monsters to enemy sabotage to dimensional rifts. But none of these have ever been substantiated. The only thing we know for sure is that a fully loaded military vessel with all the resources of a superpower behind it simply ceased to exist. By the mid-20th century, the Bermuda Triangle had ascended from nautical nuisance to global enigma, and in 1945 it gained a new symbol, Flight 19. 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers took off from Fort Lauderdale on a routine training mission. But as radio communications started coming in, something was clearly wrong. The pilots were disoriented. They couldn't recognize the coastline. Compasses spun aimlessly. The flight leader's voice grew increasingly desperate as he reported, "Everything looks strange, even the ocean. We are entering white water. Nothing seems right." Eventually, radio contact was lost, and when a rescue plane was dispatched to find them, it vanished too. 6 aircraft, 27 men, gone, just like the Cyclops. And with them, the Bermuda Triangle's notoriety soared into the cultural stratosphere. It was in the shadow of Flight 19 that the term Bermuda Triangle was officially born. In 1964, author Vincent Gaddis published an article in Argosy magazine that gave the region its now famous name. He compiled disappearances, theorized patterns, and effectively created a blueprint for mystery. But it wasn't until 1974 that the triangle entered pop culture's bloodstream with full force. Charles Berlitz, whose family owned the renowned Berlitz language schools, released a best-selling book simply titled The Bermuda Triangle. Berlitz tied the mysterious vanishings to everything from the lost city of Atlantis to extraterrestrials, time warps, and interdimensional portals. Though his claims were met with harsh criticism from scientists, the book sold millions. People weren't looking for answers. They were addicted to the unknown. Hollywood, of course, couldn't resist. Movies and television shows capitalized on the drama. Close Encounters of the Third Kind depicted Flight 19 being abducted by aliens and returned decades later. Countless documentaries replayed sonar pings and deep-sea dives, dramatizing every lost ship as a portal into the abyss. The Bermuda Triangle had become more than a location. It was a character, a malevolent force, a plot twist waiting to happen. And with every sensationalist take, the legend deepened. And yet, for all the mystery, science continued to knock at the door. Researchers began investigating the region not as a supernatural trap, but as a geographical zone with specific measurable traits. They found that the area is riddled with rapidly shifting weather patterns, quick-forming storms, water spouts, and extreme turbulence that can appear in minutes and leave even the most experienced captains stunned. The Gulf Stream, a powerful current that rips through the Atlantic at speeds of over 5 miles per hour, flows directly through the triangle. If a plane or ship goes down, it doesn't linger. Debris can be scattered or pulled to the ocean floor before anyone even knows something's wrong. The seas also hold their own deadly secrets. Rogue waves, towering walls of water that can reach heights of 100 feet, have been recorded by satellites and marine sensors. These waves appear suddenly without warning and are capable of snapping massive vessels in two. In fact, scientists now believe rogue waves might be the key to understanding many of the unexplained disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. They're rare, but they're real, and in a region as volatile as this, they could strike at any time. Even the idea of methane gas has entered the discussion. Some researchers have theorized that explosive bursts of methane from deep under the ocean floor could destabilize water density, causing ships to lose buoyancy and sink instantly. While this remains a hypothesis without direct evidence, it's a more grounded explanation than sea monsters or alien abduction. In short, nature, wild, unpredictable. All these facts, the legend persists. The Bermuda Triangle remains one of the world's most captivating mysteries, not because of what we know, but because of what we imagine. It's a mirror reflecting our fascination with the unknown, our fear of what lies just beyond comprehension, and our hunger for stories that challenge the limits of science and sanity. It is a place where the ocean swallows certainty and spits out legend. As the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle deepened, so too did the divide between believers and skeptics. While scientists work to demystify the region, millions of people around the world remain convinced that something more sinister was at play. Something the authorities weren't telling us? Some said the disappearances weren't just coincidences, they were clues. Clues pointing toward a grander puzzle, evidence of an ancient civilization, a hidden government conspiracy, or perhaps even extraterrestrial interference. The deeper you go into the Bermuda Triangle legend, the more tangled it becomes, like a maze of rumors, half-truths, and fragmented data lost at sea. This growing fascination wasn't just fed by whispers in smoky bars or late-night talk shows. It was propelled by best-selling authors, tabloid exposés, and an explosion of pop culture. Charles Berlitz, whose 1974 book, The Bermuda Triangle, became a worldwide phenomenon, made some of the most outlandish claims of all. He argued that many of the triangle's missing ships and planes may have been pulled into a dimensional rift or submerged into the ruins of Atlantis itself. Berlitz believed that the fabled lost civilization wasn't a myth, but a technologically advanced society that still existed, beneath the surface of the sea, interfering with modern vessels. While mainstream scientists rolled their eyes, Berlitz's narrative tapped into something primal. Our yearning to believe there's more to reality than we see. More than just logic and data, perhaps secrets so ancient, so powerful, they've been buried deep beneath the ocean floor. Atlantis, in this view, wasn't a story. It was a warning. And the Bermuda Triangle? A gateway into that forgotten world. Whether or not people believe Berlitz's specific claims, they were hooked on the possibilities. Could it be that disappearances were not accidents, but messages? At the height of the triangle craze, the media transformed it into a cultural phenomenon. TV specials ran dramatizations of Flight 19, complete with frantic radio calls and glowing skies. Comic books, mystery novels, and action films all took a crack at the legend. It didn't matter if the facts were blurry. The triangle had become a brand, one that sold fear, wonder, and intrigue in equal measure. Even major films like Close Encounters of the Third Kind gave the story a cinematic twist, suggesting Flight 19's pilots had been abducted by aliens and preserved in a distant realm beyond human time. The truth, it seemed, was no match for our imagination. But in the quiet halls of scientific institutions, a different story was unfolding. Researchers, oceanographers, meteorologists, and aviation experts began assembling data. Hard data. Their findings painted a picture that was far less glamorous, but far more grounded in reality. The truth, as it turned out, was hiding in plain sight all along. One of the most misunderstood aspects of the Bermuda Triangle is its supposed influence on navigational instruments, specifically compasses. Early reports claimed that compasses would spin wildly or point to true north rather than magnetic north when passing through the region. This sparked theories of energy anomalies, interdimensional portals, and even interference from ancient technologies. But scientists quickly pointed out a much simpler explanation: magnetic declination. The Earth's magnetic field isn't uniform. It varies depending on location. In certain regions, including parts of the Bermuda Triangle, compasses can behave differently due to the natural variation in Earth's magnetic field. It's not supernatural, it's geography. Another crucial factor is weather. The triangle sits in one of the most meteorologically active areas on Earth. Warm ocean currents from the Gulf Stream clash with cold fronts from the north, creating volatile conditions that can lead to sudden, violent storms. Tropical cyclones, waterspouts, and squalls can appear without warning. For small aircraft and older vessels without modern radar or communications, these conditions can be deadly. Combine that with human error, fatigue, miscalculations, and faulty equipment, and you've got a recipe for disaster. Then there's the matter of rogue waves. Once considered mythical, rogue waves are now recognized as real and incredibly dangerous. Towering over 100 feet high, these waves can slam into ships with no warning, snapping even steel hulls like twigs. Satellite data has confirmed that these rogue waves are most likely to form in areas like the Bermuda Triangle, where ocean currents collide with powerful wind systems. A ship caught in one of these monsters wouldn't have time to send a distress call. It would be there one moment and gone the next. Other theories involve underwater methane hydrates. These are crystalline structures found in the seabed, capable of releasing large amounts of methane gas when destabilized. Some researchers have suggested that a sudden release could reduce the water's density, causing ships to lose buoyancy and sink instantly. While this idea remains theoretical and lacks concrete evidence in the triangle, it's a chilling possibility, and one that doesn't require any paranormal explanation. Just science. But what about the data? What do the numbers actually say? If the Bermuda Triangle is so deadly, there should be a disproportionate number of accidents, right? Surprisingly, that's not the case. Multiple studies, including those by the U.S. Coast Guard and NOAA, have found that the Triangle doesn't have an unusually high number of disappearances when compared to other heavily traveled ocean regions. According to Lloyd's of London and the Worldwide Fund for Nature, the Triangle is not even listed among the world's most dangerous shipping lanes. In fact, in 2021, Lloyd's List reported that only 0.02% of ships traveling through the Bermuda Triangle had experienced incidents. That number is shockingly low. So why does the myth persist? Why do people still believe the Bermuda Triangle is a portal to another world or the site of an ancient power? The answer might lie in our psychology. Humans are pattern-seeking creatures. We look for meaning in chaos. When we hear of several disappearances in the same area, even over the span of decades, we begin to connect the dots, even if those dots have nothing in common. Add a few eerie radio messages, a lack of wreckage, and a mysterious light or two, and suddenly you have a story that the mind latches onto. The Bermuda Triangle becomes a metaphor, not just for the dangers of the sea, but for the uncertainty of life itself. We want to believe in mysteries because they remind us that the universe is still vast, still unexplored, still is real. It's about what it represents, a place where our understanding of nature meets its limits, a place where, just maybe, something bigger than us is at work. And sometimes the myth survives because it's simply more exciting than the truth. A violent storm or navigational error doesn't spark the imagination the way a ghost ship does. The idea of a government cover-up or a forgotten underwater civilization is more thrilling than paperwork and weather reports. And so, stories get repeated, details get embellished, and the legend grows. That's not to say all triangle stories are fabrications. Many of the disappearances are real. The pain of the families, the confusion of investigators, the suddenness of the tragedies, those are very real. But understanding the why behind them doesn't diminish the loss. It honors it. It reminds us that the sea, for all its beauty, remains one of the most dangerous and unpredictable places on Earth. In the end, the Bermuda Triangle isn't a riddle to be solved. It's a mirror held up to our desire to find order in chaos, to assign meaning where there may be none. It's a canvas where we project our fears, our fantasies, and our need for wonder. Because sometimes we don't want answers. We want awe. The uncharted future of a timeless mystery. Yet even with all the scientific explanations laid bare, one truth remains unshakable. The Bermuda Triangle continues to haunt our collective consciousness. Because this story was never just about missing ships or malfunctioning compasses. It was about the limits of what we know and what we don't. In an age where satellites map every inch of the globe and artificial intelligence crunches terabytes of data in seconds, the Bermuda Triangle reminds us that nature still holds secrets it hasn't surrendered. And perhaps that's what keeps the fascination alive. Despite the reassurances from experts, the Triangle continues to attract explorers, theorists, and adventurers, people driven not by facts but by curiosity. Each expedition becomes a personal quest to uncover something overlooked, something new. Autonomous submersibles scan the ocean floor in hopes of uncovering wreckage or unknown structures. Underwater drones sweep for magnetic anomalies, and satellite imaging continues to hunt for patterns invisible to the human eye. But every answer seems to lead to more questions. In 2018, researchers using sonar imaging detected strange, symmetrical formations buried beneath the sand off the Bahamian coast. Structures some claimed could be the remnants of an ancient city. Others dismissed them as natural rock formations shaped by erosion. No conclusive evidence emerged, but it reignited interest in theories long considered fringe. Was Plato's Atlantis buried here? And if so, could its technology have left a lasting imprint on this region of sea? More recently, in 2023, amateur radio operators reported a cluster of unusual electromagnetic signals while sailing through the heart of the triangle. The signals didn't match known frequencies and couldn't be traced to any terrestrial source. Most scientists dismissed the data as interference, but among fringe researchers, it rekindled an old idea that something or someone is still down there, transmitting. But maybe the most unsettling thought isn't that there's something out there, but that there's something within us, drawing us to these places, these anomalies, these dangerous zones between the known and the unknown. The Bermuda Triangle has become more than a patch of water. It's an idea, a symbol of human curiosity and fear. A mirror we hold up to the great unknown. And sometimes when we stare into that mirror too long, we see ourselves looking back. Not with answers, but with more questions. Because what if the mystery is the point? What if the Bermuda Triangle was never meant to be solved? What if it endures because it touches something ancient in us? Older than science, older than history, the primal recognition that the world is bigger, stranger, and darker than we let ourselves believe. That's why people still whisper about ghost ships and time warps. That's why conspiracy forums still chart every flickering radar dot and plane that veers off course. Observers continue to return to the triangle like moths to flame. It's the same reason we look up at the stars and wonder if we're alone. The mystery is not just in the sea, it's in us. And so, as ships continue to pass through the Bermuda Triangle without incident, guided by GPS, satellite links, and onboard computers, somewhere beneath the waves, the old legends remain, restless, waiting. Waiting for the next unexplained flicker on the radar. Waiting for the next vanishing act.